Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 297, Road to Paloma from 2014. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode's brought to you by Gibbs Amphibians. The Bi-Ski is truly unique. As a single seat, it's a twin-jet HSA motorcycle. It is the world's first in many ways. That's an amphibious motorcycle. Shout out to Gibbs Amphibians.
Well, shout out to the only motorcycle for Aquaman. Is that how they came to us today?
Yes, exactly. That's precisely what they reached out about, yeah.
So we are existing in a weird limbo that you know about, but I want to bring to the attention of our listeners. So as we record this, you and I have not seen Fast 10.
We have not.
As the patrons hear this, in theory, they have not seen Fast 10.
Okay.
As this hits the main feed, the only thing people are going to care about is Fast 10. Not talking about it here. We're talking about a totally different movie from 10 years ago.
Yes.
But between now and then, we will record 2 Fast 10 episodes, our very brief spoiler-free review, and our much longer spoiler-filled review, both of which will come out between the time we record this and between the time that this hits the main feed. So, if you're here for Fast 10 content, so sorry. But come back on Friday as we talk to the Mikester, resident historian Mike Mancy, about Fast 10. And check out the episodes we just put out, the Fast 10 spoiler-free review and the spoiler-filled review, because there's lots of Fast 10 there. But for now,
I'm sure, yes.
We're just talking about Momoa as Dante, but not Dante, in a movie I either knew and forgot or never knew that he directed. And I was like, and wrote, and I was like...
That's the wildest part, yeah.
Whoa.
This is kind of his multifacial, right?
So there's not a lot of information about this movie because it's not a huge movie. It's just, it seems like Momoa got his friends together and made a movie, like called in some favors and whatever.
By the way, free to watch on Plex.
And Tubi, yep. If you don't mind ads, it's free to watch in 2 places. So there you go. It feels like he just sort of called in some favors and got things together, and there's not a lot of information. So I'm like, let me see if I can find like interviews he gave, because I don't usually go this far, but I'm like, well, where did this movie come from? So I have a little bit of information there. Yes. We'll get there in 1 second though. But if you don't know what Road to Paloma is about, because you had never heard of this movie, I would assume, because I had never heard of this movie. Okay.
Not even heard of it. No.
Okay. So if you don't know what Road to Paloma is about, and you have not watched it on Tubi or Plex, Wolf, played by Momoa, a Native American on the run after avenging his mother's murder, flees across the desolate American West on his motorcycle, where he'll discover that justice has a cost.
The justice. Oh, the justice has a cost. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought he was just discovering the justice.
Or Justice League.
Oh.
Aquaman. So this is directed by, as we mentioned, Jason Momoa. He's only directed this and a short film that he also wrote from 2010. He also wrote this. He wrote a movie called The Last Manhunt that came out last year. He wrote an HBO show that I think, or has a writing credit on an HBO show that's like an unscripted, like I know that there's like a weird irony there that he has a writing credit on unscripted, but I think he's got like not a reality show, but like some kind of like docu-style show on HBO.
Interesting.
And he's got an upcoming show that he also has a writing credit on. It was also written by this guy, Robert Homer Mollahan, who wrote and directed a short. He also acted in this. And it was written by this guy, Jonathan Hirschbein, who wrote a movie called Bad Country and did the movie A Prayer Before Dawn. So like they have some writing credits and stuff, but not really major, just kind of like, independent, whatever.
Okay.
Produced by Momoa and this guy, Brian Andrew Mendoza, who seems to work with Momoa a lot. He also shot it. Budget of only $600,000, but made almost $1 million, so made a little bit of money. Rotten Tomatoes 57% by the critics, 55% by the audience, 44% on Metacritic.
Interesting.
But that's kind of it. So the background that I found, which is not a lot, because like none of the trivia actually like stuck. I might get to some later, whatever.
Okay.
But Momoa's father is of native Hawaiian ancestry, and he has said that his mother is of German, Irish, and Pawnee ancestry. So I guess he's at least part Native American, indigenous on his mother's side.
Leslie Knope.
Yes, Leslie Knope. as they sort of explain toward the middle end of this movie, the story of this is based on a real life problem of Native American reservations where non-natives cannot be tried under tribal law. And so because of that, instances of violence and rapes and other heinous crimes are never actually resolved in federal courts.
Wait,
So
that seems really weird. I mean, like, it doesn't seem far-fetched. It just seems far-fetched that they're not, like, they can't be tried under tribal law. But what is that, like a land thing, I'm guessing, then? That's, like, because you're on the reservation, it's not like U.S. soil or something. You know what I mean? Like, federal land.
I don't know that it's federal land. I think it's owned by the tribes, and I think that's the issue. 'Cause, like,
so you can't try someone if they commit a crime on that land outside of that land.
I guess. I mean, it's like because the U.S. doesn't have jurisdiction there, I guess.
That's weird. It's like you do like stab somebody in a what is it, like an embassy or something? Oh, like the fucking like Fast 9 when they're like we're in an embassy, so like this is not your territory.
Because that's the whole thing. Because like the white federal agents come here because like there was a white man who was killed by Momoa, and so they're like, oh, you show up now, but like when we have an issue, like you're nowhere around, or like I don't exactly know. It's a little bit
interesting.
Like,
yeah, I've never thought about it.
But it is based in reality, yes.
That's just, it's, because this is the whole, like, you can have casinos on reservation land, and, like, you just can, right? Because they can do whatever the fuck they want, so.
Yeah. There's also a thing on Wiki that says the Rolling Stones did the score for this movie, but I don't think that's possibly true.
How did that, Wes, go submit a fact check, please.
Wiki says the Rolling Stones and a band called Shovels and Rope, which I don't know, but seems much more likely did the score, but I'm just like...
And was Shovels and Rope the band that the kid was in, Cash was in? Maybe. I was assuming that this was like one of those situations. Probably. Oh, by the way, on a weird tangent, we've been watching Yellow Jackets, okay? And I've been like, where do I know this lady from? Where do I know this lady from? Did you watched Yellow Jackets?
I've seen the first season. I've not seen the second season yet, but yeah, I've seen the first season.
We're getting through the first season, and I keep seeing this lady. I'm like, why do I recognize her? Why do I recognize her? Do you know who it is?
Who do I think you would recognize, but not actually recognize from?
Yes.
I mean, is it Juliette Lewis? Are you bringing up because it's a musician, Juliette Lewis?
Yes, and you know where I recognize her from, but didn't recognize her from?
Natural Born Killers?
No, Strange Days.
Oh, also that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I kept seeing her being like, I know this lady, and I don't know where I know her from. And then, like, we finally figured it out. But, okay.
I was like,
musician in a movie.
Yeah, because Christina Ricci looks like pretty much like looks like Christina Ricci, and Melanie Linsky looks like Melanie Linsky, and like...
Yep.
So, yeah, so Juliette Lewis. Okay, yeah, okay. I don't think... So I even clicked on the Rolling Stones. I'm like, maybe there's another band called the Rolling Stones, like defying all logic or whatever. And, like, the link on the wiki goes to the Rolling Stones. And so I'm like, all right. I mean... maybe. I don't think so, but maybe.
I don't think so. I
didn't dig any deeper because I would like to imagine a world where they did the score for this, but,
Mick Jagger, like, Momoa just calls Mick Jagger and he's like, oi, I got a movie for you to make the score for. And he's like, yep. And he's like, the budget is $6, because it's like a $600,000 movie.
Yeah, like... I remember, okay, so when Conan was going off the air, when Conan took over the Leno show, and the Leno was like, actually, I'm not done. And then NBC was like, well, if you're not done, let's have you back. And Conan was like, what the fuck? And so as Conan was like winding down his NBC tenure, I don't know if you remember this, but he was like trying to do the most expensive things imaginable just to cost NBC money. Like he rented a Bugatti Veyron and just put whiskers on it and called the Bugatti Veyron Mouse. Or maybe he bought a Bugatti Veyron. Like it was just like some like insanely expensive use of a Bugatti Veyron. But like he rented the master, or like he licensed the master to a Rolling Stones song, and it cost like several $100,000 just to use once on TV. And it was like,
that's awesome.
The entire budget for this movie is $600,000. So like,
and that's not even getting them to write it for. That's just licensing a song
correct.
to
like
use
a song that they
TV.
wrote in the 60s. I don't remember. One of their hits, whatever. But like, it's like, okay, so you think maybe who knows?
They might be boys. You don't know. Maybe like Mick Jagger's a big Momoa fan.
I mean, who isn't really?
Honestly.
So the only real quotes that I could find about this from Momoa is he said when we submitted it to Sundance, like the film festival, they were looking for a native guy. Or maybe it was the Sundance, like the studio? I don't know, unclear. They were looking for a native guy. It came out of this guy can write and direct and produce it and make the whole thing. A lot of people didn't think I could speak English, and so that helped knowing I could write English and put this major thing together, and it was my vision.
Why wouldn't he have spoken English?
I don't know, because this is also like after he's been on Game of Thrones. So like, unless he like pitched this like in like the mid to late 2000s and it took like 5 or 6 years to get made, which is very possible.
He pitched it in Drokothi or whatever. What's their language called?
Dothraki?
Dothraki, yes.
You had all the letters. You just jumbled up in your head.
Yeah, I did. I mixed them. I was close. It would have hit better if I would have known how to say it, but I didn't.
I don't know if I could have pulled it without, just like, what was their language? Like, if you didn't say that, I don't know if I would have remembered, but I got there. We got there together.
We did. High five.
So yeah, I don't know when that was, but they're like, oh, so this is a native story, but the guy can speak English? Let's make it. It's like, okay. Momoa calls this his, quote, road movie, which he made with 7 of his closest friends, including Lisa Bonet, who he was married to at the time, as they've since split.
Who's Lisa Bonet? The girl that he meets with the car?
Yeah, the one he's just like, let me fix your shit.
Okay, that one? Okay, yeah.
Yes, the one that he, like...
Fixes her car and hooks up with, yeah.
Yes. He woos her by doing drugs with her and fixing her car.
Yeah, smoking weed, not doing drugs. There's different. It's a mother god plant.
Drugs.
Mother god plant, as Aaron Rodgers would say.
He had to quote, it's definitely one of the hardest things I've done in my life because it's very close to us. I just don't want to suck. That's my whole goal, not sucking in front of my wife. Like, okay. Just don't let me embarrass myself in front of her.
I kind of like that. That's a good goal. I try to set that goal every day. I don't often succeed, but that's usually what I try to do when I wake up. I should put that on my bulletin board in my room. Wake up to that. May
I just not embarrass Rachel today? No matter what I do, please just don't let Rachel be embarrassed by me.
No.
More than the baseline.
The embarrassment part's fine. It's just don't suck in front of my wife. That's
all the background. Like, there's no background about this movie. Like, it's just like, he cared about the story. He made the movie. It exists. What did you think of Road to Paloma?
I actually really liked it. And this is not a movie for me, pace-wise, story-wise, just drama-wise. But I found it, one, to be compelling. I kind of like the speed of it. It was interesting for me to see Momoa in a role that wasn't like an action star. You know what I mean? Like, I can't think of a movie where he's not like Khal Drogo or Aquaman or, or Dante, right? So for me to see him play like more like grounded and like just like a dude on the road, I was like, this is cool. And he's huge, obviously, but he doesn't stick out like The Rock, right?
Right.
So he can play like just like a dude on a motorcycle, and it's not like, oh, this is unfathomable that this gigantic, handsome, long-haired Hawaiian man is like not just like a dude on the road. Like The Rock stands out anywhere. Vin stands out anywhere.
Yeah, I sort of, so like, we talked about this a little bit when we did Right on Track, but I was like, okay, so the 2 biggest actors who are coming into the Fastiverse are Brie Larson and Momoa.
Yes.
And then I also looked through like other actors that they were being added and whatever, and seeing like if they were car movies, if they were vehicle movies, and we found Right on Track. We're like, cool. Again, still unclear if we should have watched that or not, but it was fun to see Brie Larson as a little girl, like just, racing cars, whatever. And then here I'm just like, oh, Momoa on a bike. Like, okay. And then again, not realizing he had directed it was like a nice little wrinkle. But I was expecting, I think you didn't say it like this, but I would assume that maybe you were thinking the same thing. Like, I haven't seen the show, but I was thinking like, okay, Momoa, motorcycles, Sons of Anarchy, baby. Just like, drinking, cursing, carousing,
in a
whatever.
Motorcycle gang. Yes, I've seen like a couple seasons of Sons of Anarchy. I don't know if I didn't really set a perception, like a standard of what I thought it was going to be going in, but I can definitely relate to being like, if it would have been that, I would have definitely understood.
I just assumed like not that I'm like uber familiar with Momoa's filmography, but I just think that like there are, as we have covered over and over on here, there are no shortage of like straight to DVD or very low budget theatrical, just like action movies with one big name.
Yep.
It's like, oh, we got Momoa. He's hot off Game of Thrones. Let's get him in this piece of shit and get it out there. And like people will go see it.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's probably just one of those where just like, he's going to be like a tough biker. There's going to be some fight scenes or whatever. He's going to like sleep with some like attractive woman and like whatever. And then when I'm like, oh, he directed this. And then like you watch it, you're like, oh, this is actually like
deep.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like it's similar sort of to what movie did we just cover? What was the sci-fi? Oh, Equilibrium. We're just like, oh, like they're actually like giving you time to think about things.
Yeah, the movie does pack it really well. Like it lets you breathe in places that you should be questioning, breathing. Like that's what I'm saying. Like the pace is something that like I'm not normally drawn to, but like it works very well here.
I think as a movie, it's pretty good. I think as a personal passion or like vanity project is the wrong word because I feel
it's
like
not
that's
a vanity,
negative, but like
I get what you're saying.
It's not that, but like as that kind of thing, I think it's like really good because like there's kind of no reason for it to be this good, but like other than like he just really seems to care about it and got a lot of his friends who clearly seem to like working with him. Like a lot of the people in this movie are like I know from like really kind of good TV stuff. Like Michael Raymond James is one of the stars of Terriers. He's the guy who plays, he's Irish, who they get to at the end.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
I love him and other stuff.
Yeah.
Sarah Shahi's pretty big. Lance Henriksen's pretty big. Wes Studi's pretty big. Like all these people in here, like 5 or 6 people, I'm just like, oh, wow. Like they're not like stars with a capital S, but they're like known, solid actors who are like really good at what they did. Lisa Bonet, I mean, he's married to her or whatever, but like, I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then, like, to have the one real bit of violence where, like, he comes home, like, because I watched a couple days ago, so I might have the details, like, slightly off. But, like, he basically returns home, his mother's being attacked and raped by a white man, and he kills the man, right? He just, like, avenges it. Like, his mother is killed, but he kills this man, and then he's wanted by the feds.
I think these are separate incidents, okay?
Okay.
He's wanted by the feds for avenging his mother. He finds out who this happened in the past before the movie even starts.
Right.
That there's
so he doesn't like walk in on that, but like the guy was doing it and then he avenges it.
He just like, I found out who raped my mother. I found out that my mother was raped. I found out who raped my mother. I went and killed him. I've been on the run since.
Okay.
On the run, when he's with Cash, they're just riding their motorcycles. A little kid pulls up and says, hey, like, stop. Like, I need your help. My mom, or like my sister. I forget who it is, but it's some woman relative. And then he comes up on them, and it's another person being raped on a reservation, and he just murders this guy too. So now he's at 2 murders.
I didn't get that. I don't think
it is.
You sure?
Yeah, and then because the cop comes by, Cash is with him. Cash was not with him for the first murder. He's been on the run. And the cop comes by, stops both of them, and they're like, what happened? And he's like, look, like, the kid was covered in blood. You know, he said, come help us. We found the girl under the guy, and, like, we took care of it. And the cop's like, just get out of here. But yes, it was 2 separate incidents. And he also has, like, a sit-down with Cash afterwards, and he's like, look, like, I know I got out of hand back there killing that guy, but, like, I want to tell you. And that's when he divulges, like, the reason I'm on the run is because I killed the other, like, my mom's rapist. That's the original guy that I murdered. And he's like, oh, okay.
So what I think is interesting about about the movie in terms of like what it could show and what it doesn't show is that like the moment, like the Jason Momoa revenge is like it all happens before the movie starts. And it's like you would think that like it would be this like sensational thing that like he walks in on, or you know, he like it gets like it opens with like this murder and he's on the run. It was just like, no, that already happened. Like we don't see that. Like we just see him like trying to get by and trying to spread her ashes, right? Like he's trying to like just go, you know, basically put her to rest. Yes.
And get closure. Yeah, that's what he's trying to do at the end of the movie. Like that's he's trying to find her ashes. That's why he like goes to his dad. Dad sends him to his sister, and he just wants to get her ashes, take her back to a spot that she really liked, and just like lay her to rest. Yeah.
But then he meets up with this guy Cash, who's like a real kind of scumbag, and like just things don't really like. It feels.
It's really funny. That's funny you said that, and this is what I was thinking too. Like the whole movie, you're like, oh, Cash is a real big scumbag, and it's like, well, they're out here killing rapists, so he's not really a scumbag. He's doing pretty good. Like Granted, he like dips out on a stripper and doesn't pay her for her lap dances, and like he doesn't have money for food, and he just like is pretty big asshole. But when it comes down to it, he's like, "Oh yeah, we can go murder that rapist," and everybody's like, "Cool, that works for me." And I was like, "Not too bad of guys, to be honest."
I feel like though Cash is like he's a bad dude in the way that like most like movie bad dudes are bad dudes. It's just like he fights dirty and like he just like says things he shouldn't and just gets drunk and just like
ruined his relationship, ruined his life, everything.
It's like what makes a bad dude? Well, he's bad to people and he fights dirty. It's like, okay, cool. Like I feel as sort of as nuanced as the Momoa character as Wolf can kind of be, Cash is just like, what if he's just a scumbag? It's like, all right. Like, they didn't, like, really flesh out. They're just like, what if we just didn't like him? But Momoa likes him for some reason. It's just like, all right. And they kind of left it at that.
Well, he's like these guys like this, that he's a scumbag, but not, like, morally objectionable. He has, like, an honesty to him. I can see that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Momoa carries the morality, and Cash is just, like, an honest... Like, you're not going to get... He's not, like, hiding anything from you, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like, you're gonna get what you're gonna get. Like, you just know on the surface that, like, he's just gonna be this guy. Like, even when he's like, I went through your bag to, like, roll a cigarette. You're like, okay, cool. Yeah, like, I know you're not gonna rob me and, like, run away. Like, cool.
What I liked about this movie, so I was trying to think, like, halfway through the movie, I was just like, are we learning it? Like, if we're pretending, like, in the grand, too fast, connected universe, like, if we were pretending this was Dante, like, even though we know where Dante basically was, right? Like, he was in Brazil and, you know, then he got revenge, whatever. Like, I don't think he would be murdering the murderer of his, like, indigenous... Like, it just
we haven't seen
really
10
work.
yet. We have not seen 10 yet in real life. He might just be a guy that runs around killing rapists, and that would be fucking sick.
That would be cool. I feel like we would have heard about that by now if that was the story, but you never know. But I'm like, could we glean anything from this character that we could apply to Dante? And like early on, he's working in a garage and like he's just like really good with his hands. Like he's just like he's kind of like a grease monkey.
Yep.
But there's that other guy who's like working on the car and then or the bike or whatever. And then Momoa gets there and that guy just like starts doing like arts and crafts. And I'm like, that's interesting.
No, you saw what happened.
What?
Momoa didn't have. So that's his buddy.
Yeah.
He had it in the shop with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, you owe me like $100. And Momoa's like, you know, I don't have $100. And he's like, okay. And then he's like, I have $50. And he's like, okay. And then he's like, hands him a wrench, like, well, then you're doing the fucking labor because I'm not if you don't have the money for it. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, he does that later, too, like, when they're doing dishes and, like, you know, and Cash, like, screws up again. Like, he keeps doing that. He keeps like, I don't have money
because he's on the run.
Things. Yes.
He can't have a job.
But I just like that the guy was like, well, I guess I'll just do arts and, like, it wasn't like he's going to watch or drink beers or just, like, watch TV, but he's just going to, like, do arts and crafts. I'm like, this is interesting.
It gave me big vibes of, what's his name from The Wire that was always building the tiny furniture?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember the name.
When he's just like sitting there and he's just like old sage, you know what I mean? Just like, oh, I'm just gonna do this. And yeah, because he's painting like some like children's toy bird thing, something.
We don't really have much of a sense of the history. Like, what do we know about Wolf from before the movie starts? We know that he was friends with Irish, who was a white guy who was on the reservation. He, like, you know, goes off to settle a new life that we, you know, hook up with at the end.
With his sister.
Yeah. But is there anything, like, do we know anything really about Momoa, about Wolf from before the movie? Like, we learn that he's, like, good with his hands, good around bikes and stuff like that, but, like, do we know, like, what he did really or not really?
No, like when he meets his dad, he's kind of like something about like he's kind of a drunk. Like no, he's just like a dude on the reservation that likes
just a dude getting by, right?
Yeah, just a dude getting by, surviving.
Because it seems like as they're going around, like he's not worried about not having cash or whatever. I mean, not Cash the guy, but like Cash the money, because like. I mean, he does always have cash with him, but like, because he's just like, oh, I can fix cars, I can do this.
He's a survivor.
Like, yeah, exactly.
He'll get into an unsanctioned gambling fight to make money, or wash dishes to pay for his food, or any of these things.
Which I feel like in terms of the Fast and Furious, like we never really see that. It's just like, all right, we're on the run. Okay, we're going to knock off a guy for $100 million. It's like, we don't have to survive. We just need to like call on favors, and then we're going to be like set for life.
Well, they've already established that, yeah. Like, once we got through, 5? It's like, after 5, they don't actually need money. Like, they have money forever.
Yes. even though we see them all spend like crazy amounts of money on crazy things, but who knows?
Money begets money, Joey.
I know. But like at least Rico Ortega, if not both of them, Leo and Santos both lose all their money. Tej starts a small business and buys that crazy car. You know that Roman bought a plane. Roman blew through that money.
Roman did not buy that plane. I know he's dumb, but there's not an ounce of me that believes that he's dumb enough to actually purchase that plane. He rented that plane and got them to stamp "It's Roman bitches" on the back of it. He's way too smart for that.
I wouldn't say way too smart. I will give you that he's too smart. I will not say that he's way too smart for that, but he's probably too smart to buy a plane.
Yeah, probably.
What else about this movie? Do you have favorite moments, favorite characters, favorite interactions? Because like we've sort of hinted at it, but like it's just kind of him driving around, meeting up with different people, like betting on fights to make some money. Like that's why Cash fights that big Indian, like what they call quote the big Indian. But like,
okay, that guy. I'm glad you brought him up. He was one of my favorite characters because he looks like he could be The Rock's body double. He had like very similar tattoos. He was a very similar skin tone. He was bald. He was big. I was like, this guy, like, I was waiting for you to come up with the facts and be like, this guy is like The Rock's body double, and like he was just Jason Momoa's friend, and now he's in the movie. And I was like, oh shit. But you didn't. He was one of my favorite people.
That whole thing is interesting because, like, I feel like we've seen, and I can't think, but like I'm almost positive that we've seen other movies for this podcast where like they bet on fighting to like make money.
I don't know.
Maybe not. I don't know. But like Cash, like fighting dirty, like what did he like? He
hit him with a propane tank.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like
he starts with that, then he throws sand in his eyes, then he headbutts him. I don't think these are all regulation things, but.
No, the other guy's just like beating the shit out of him, and like the only way that Cash can survive is to cheat, basically.
Yeah, well, he's a masochist too. Like that's what Momoa knew, that he like would get his ass beat because he can.
I'm trying to figure out who played the big Indian. Maybe this guy Moose, character named Moose. Oh, Joe.
What? His
picture on IMDb
is with him and The Rock.
And The Rock.
I knew it.
On the set of Fast 5.
I knew it. It has to be, right? He looks way too much like him. If you shot this guy from... what a call. Hands up. I did not know that. I don't research
Going
this.
Backwards in terms of stunts.
Yeah.
Black Adam, check. Red Notice, check. Jungle Cruise,
he
check.
Is.
Jumanji,
exactly.
The Next Level, check. Hobbs and Shaw, Ballers, Skyscraper, Rampage, Baywatch, Fate of the Furious, Central Intelligence, San Andreas, Fury 7, Hercules, Fast and Furious. I'm not skipping things. Star Trek Into the Darkness. Like, almost exclusively the work he gets is just with The Rock, going all the way back to... Oh! So what? he doubled The Rock in, like, The Scorpion King and in Walking Tall, but then he also did stunts on Tokyo Drift, which obviously doesn't have The Rock in it. But, like, it seems like 80% of his work, or at least maybe 90% since like 2010, has been with The Rock for The Rock.
Can you figure out if he's also related to The Rock? Because then that would make like, is it Momoa a cousin? No, it's like, I know I'm probably being mildly racist here. That like, I know Roman Reigns is cousins with The Rock, but is Momoa a relation to them too?
Jason Momoa, The Rock related. They're both Samoan, but they're not related.
Okay. Because I was going to say, like, if this guy that's The Rock's stunt double is cousins with The Rock, then they would be, like, cousins, too. You know what I mean? Like, I was trying to make another connection.
Oh, Tanoi Reed, who's this guy?
Yes.
American stuntman and actor, best known as the stunt double for his cousin, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Not only is he, like, a double for The Rock, but he is The Rock's cousin.
Yes.
Born in Honolulu, primarily of Samoan descent, grew up in California.
So if Momoa's native Hawaiian, these guys fucking know each other.
Yep.
Like, okay, granted that they're not related, but he's native Hawaiian. He was born and raised in Hawaii. He's cousins with like they're so close.
His other work includes acting in the music video for the Black Eyed Peas song "Pump It" as one of the villains fought by Fergie. He was also in the relaunch of American Gladiators. In his first episode of Gladiators, he did a short version of the Haka before beginning his defense at the top of the pyramid. So this guy is just like, yeah, I'm the Rock. Like he's not the he's the Rock without name recognition, but
it's the tattoos that really got me. That he has like very similar tattoos in very similar places to the point where it's almost like, look, I'm gonna be the Rock stunt double probably forever. I'm like his size, bald head, whatever, and like and if I can get tattoos, and as long as they're kind of like the Rock's and kind of the same places, then like it'll be totally fine.
I'm sending you a picture on Facebook of him in the Black Adam outfit. Like in this, you're like, oh, that's not the Rock, but this is gonna sound more offensive than I mean it to be, but like it looks like he's a shitty knockoff toy version of the Rock. Like your mom gets you a toy from like the dollar store and it's like, look, it's Black Adam. And it's like, this isn't Black Adam, but like
Black Adam looks ATOM or ADAM, whatever
right?
the version is.
It's like the uniform spot on, because like that's a double. But then his face is just like, it kind of looks like the Rock.
It kind of looks like the Rock. And if you shot him from the back or the side, you'd be like, okay, yeah, totally fine. Yeah.
It's like, oh, a super handsome, super ripped, tall dude who looks like the Rock with the same tattoos, like, yeah, he could pass as the Rock, right? So yeah, so the big Indian was pretty cool.
Okay, cool. And that was a really good fucking eye spot guess that I made, I think.
Yeah,
thank you.
So you weren't being accidentally, I mean, you still might have been accidentally racist, but you were right.
And that's all that matters. No, not at all.
Joe says racism is okay as long as you're right.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. I really liked how much white sage they used in this movie. Momoa's using a lot of white sage. I'm a big fan of white sage. I suggest if you have any sorts of bad luck or bad juju in your house or on you specifically, buy some white sage. You get an abalone shell and you get a feather. Okay, and he even has the abalone shell like in the one part of it. And you need all three of those things, and you just white sage over yourself. I've done it before. Sometimes you just have to get rid of that bad energy. Highly recommended.
Okay. Fair enough.
It worked. Don't knock it till you tried it. And also it smells really good. It's a really good incense thing too. It's cool to burn in your house.
I believe that. I really liked his scenes with Lisa Bonet because clearly they have chemistry because they were married at the time. I think it was startling, and I feel like I don't know what the equivalent would be with Vin, but like the fact that she shaves off his beard in this movie, I'm just like, oh, because like he looks weird shaved.
It's not that bad. I don't think it's that.
He's not. I mean, he's still wildly handsome, but it's just like he looks unusual. Like whether he has like the the Khal Drogo like
long beard, yeah,
like or just like like a goatee or like what, like he always has facial hair, and here just like to be like fully shaved, just like whoa, okay. But like it's cool that he does it. I mean, again, it's something that like grows back pretty quickly, but it's just like, oh, like he was willing to like change the way he looked, like to convey romance and intimacy with his wife in a way that like I can't think like. I feel like is there an equivalent for Vin if he's just like, we need to show how close me and Letty have gotten or whatever. It's like, what could we do? It's like, well,
he can't shave anything off because he's bald.
I know. I was trying to think of like what the equivalent.
It'd be grew hair for Letty.
Yeah.
Got
That'd
plugs.
Be romantic.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what he could. He would have to get like a tattoo that says Letty. That has to be the equivalent.
Okay.
At this point, like relationship wise, how we followed them, whatever. We'd have to get to a point where like you see Vin like be like, I got this for you, and it just says like Letty on his chest or something.
She's like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I feel like
But if you look at it upside down, like when he looks at it down ways, it says Elena.
You know what was
it's like one of those flip things.
Like the Illuminati things, like the forwards and backwards, like the ambigrams or whatever.
Yeah, but like it's like when he's looking down at his chest, it says Elena, but when she's looking at it, it says Letty.
I was thinking, we've talked about this recently, about like how the early Fast and Furious movies are super, especially the first one, like are super horny, and like how they've like really kind of removed almost all sex from it, and just like it's like it's intimate,
it's sexual,
and it's lovey and everything, but it's not like horny. And I feel like the same thing, like there's no tattoos, like there's nothing that's like you would think that like racers, like the first movie, there's like
for that and all the butts in it.
Yeah.
There's still butts. There's always like lots of butts, but like you're right. It's not horny. It's just butts.
Right. And the same thing with like tattoos and stuff. Like you would think that like all these like things that like I feel like if they're like the car equivalent of a biker gang, right? Like they are, you know, the family, whatever. Like they would have they would do things like they would all get like a tattoo or something like that. And they're just like, no, we are all like our bodies are our temples. Like, you know, they never talk about Hobbes' tattoos. Like he just has like his like ancestral tattoos, but they don't address them. It's just like all these things. They're just like, no, this is not who we are.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. But I don't think we have time for that. There's so much other shit to do in these movies.
It's true.
It's like they have to spend time at a barbecue and then save the world. Like they don't have time to talk about the new tattoos they got over the summer.
Right.
I really liked the scene when he finds Cash and he just waits outside for him for no reason. And Cash comes out and says, "They say if you drink enough bourbon, you will time travel." And for someone that used to call blackouts time traveling and drinks a lot of bourbon, I was like, Cash, you're 100% right. I've time traveled into the future many a times.
There you go.
And it was always bourbon.
There was another line that I liked, not about the about time traveling, about bourbon, but he says, it's not about the bike, you know? It's about getting on the road.
I know, I had this too. And I was so ready for him to say it's not about the bike, it's about the rider. I swear to God, I was like waiting for it. And no, he says it's about getting on the road and being free, which is kind of cool.
It's kind of that. It's kind of like the, you know, for those 10 seconds I'm free. It's just like, hey,
yes,
man,
you're right. Okay, good connection.
Just me. It's just us out there.
Yeah, that makes it more meaningful. I like that.
The only other real thing that I want to talk about is, so at the end, so there's these two feds that are chasing him down, right? There's like this asshole older guy played by Lance Henriksen. And there's this guy, Schaefer, played by Chris Browning, and he's kind of playing like a Raylan Givens kind of type. But like the younger guy is just kind of like just trying to find justice. And the old guy's like, he's got like a vendetta against Wolf. He's like, we're going to bring this guy in no matter what. And they finally catch up to him at the end. Like they finally catch up to him like at Irish's house. And I'm like, and the movie sets up that like they are going to shoot and kill Wolf. They're going to kill Momoa. And I'm like,
yes, they're like hunting him.
Yeah, you're going to, like, shoot him. I'm like, this has got to be, like, an exaggeration. They're going to shoot in front of him or whatever, and they're going to, like, stop him. And no, they straight up murder him as he's running away.
With a rifle, with a scope, while he's laying his mother's ashes to rest, they just open fire on him in the water.
Schaefer doesn't want to do it, but he does it anyway. And I'm just like, the fuck is this ending? Like, how did this happen? It was so weird to me.
It definitely feels strange, but at the same time, like, do we really not think the cops shoot the brown guy at the end for no reason?
No, I think that's very believable. I think that you're spot on there, but I'm just like, all right. So like, I also do like the idea that Momoa's like, I got this a story. It's a story that means a lot, and he's also going to give himself like a hero's death at the end. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's gonna.
Well, actually, because he doesn't really die from them shooting at him. He harikuris. He seppukus himself and like stabs himself with one of the knives, which is presumably his father or he had forged and made himself. Because we see his like dad makes knives, and he's constantly using this knife, and he like offs himself.
Yeah.
On his own accord, which is kind of more badass in my opinion.
But then he gets the kind of like, it's not exactly the same thing, but he gets the Brian O'Connor, Paul Walker, that even after Paul passed away, you know, Brian rides off into the sunset, that like he dies, and then like he rides on kind of in memory at the end, like he just sort of like rides his bike off into the sunset, which is kind of a nice way to end it. But I was
do you think Cash kept his motorcycle? Cash gets like full rights to his motorcycle, right? Or it like he gets it until he gives it to his godson, I think.
I was also laughing, you know, like when he first meets up with Cash, and like Cash is like hungover or whatever, they like go out to like that basketball court in the middle of the wood, in the middle of the desert somewhere.
That was really weird, but okay, I dug it. Go ahead.
And like it's literally like in like a rocky part of the desert, and like there's just two basketball hoops, but like you can't dribble, like the ground is so fucked up, and like Momoa is just like throwing rocks like from like way far away, like farther than the other hoop, just trying to like make it in.
I guess that's probably like on a reservation. Like that was like his basketball court as a kid, and like that's what you get. Okay.
But what I thought was funny is they're talking about like, oh, what are you riding? What are you riding? And like Momoa's like, I got this like 47 or 57, like got this like really old ass bike, right? That he's like, you know, restored and maintained and whatever.
Yep.
And then the guy's like, I just got this piece of shit. And like me, a dumb guy who doesn't know bikes, I'm like, They look really similar to me. Like, I don't know. Like,
They look pretty close.
There's like one that's just like, oh, like this is one that like people would be jealous of. The other one like people like would laugh at. I'm like, kind of looks similar, man.
They both look like motorcycles that you would ride on the highway. Yep.
We figured out that, I think it was in the first movie's minute, that like there were like 6 different kinds of helicopters or something. There's like a radically low number of helicopters. Like, I know there's way more bikes, but just like, oh, there's 6 types of helicopters or something, right? Did we make that up? It's like a really low number.
It's not that many. It's like, yeah, you would imagine it's like, oh yeah, there's like 7,000 different types of cars. And you're like, okay, helicopters. And then it's like, no, there's pretty much like 7 helicopters.
So the fact that they're just like, oh man, like that's such a beauty, and this one's such a piece of shit. Like, I hate this thing. I'm just like,
well, that's the thing is like, Momoa's bike he like built.
Yeah.
And the bike that Cash has is like, it's like just a bike that he bought.
Because he
and
had
also
he had a good bike that his like ex-wife or whatever, or like the woman's divorce.
Alimony.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Yeah. But like also like they frown upon non-American, because Yamaha's not American, right?
Right. They're
so that's part of the
bunch of Dom Torettos.
Exactly.
Is there anything else that we skipped over? I didn't take a ton of notes. I'm just like, because there's number one, I think not a ton of things to take notes on, but number two, I was just kind of watching and like mostly enjoying the movie. Was there anything else that any other scenes or interactions or characters or anything you want to talk about? Any more fast connections? Yeah.
Yes. The last thing that I want to bring up, a big fast connection, is that Jason Momoa is in this movie. His best friend Irish names his baby Wolf after his best friend, and that's a very much a Fast and the Furious thing to do.
That's very true. Though when the feds show up and they're like, they mention the baby and like, or Irish just like says something about Wolf, and they like make fun of him for it. Basically, like they kind of like rib him for like naming him after Momoa Wolf. I'm just like, come on, man! Like that's a nice thing to do.
Yeah. I get that you think that he's just like a murderer, but like if you would not shoot him as soon as you see him and maybe let him talk about it, you would know that he killed a rapist, and that's probably not the worst thing in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think this is a movie that people, if they're listening to this, they're off the high of having seen Fast 10? Is this a movie that they should check out? Or do you think that
if you like Momoa and you would like to see him in what I think is a much different role than he normally plays, yes. And for a movie that has the overview storyline of rape in a native community,
mm-hmm.
It's not as heavy as it. Like it didn't make me be like, oh my god, that was like so horrifying to watch. Like he approaches it in a very storyful way that is thoughtful, but also not like this is just emotionally draining
for sure
on my soul.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it's a good movie. I think that if you like Momoa, you should watch it. If you don't like Momoa, then don't watch it, because it's like a good vehicle for Momoa to like stretch his acting arms.
I was just looking on Letterboxd to see what I've seen him in, because obviously he's been Aquaman in a handful of things. He was in Dune for a little bit.
Yes, Dune, yeah.
He was in The Bad Batch, which is a movie that Mike loves. He plays Miami Man. It's directed by Anulali Amarpour, who did Girl Who Walks Home Alone at Night, which is great. But it's a Keanu movie, which is definitely worth seeing. But I just sent you on Facebook. I did not see this poster until now, but Jason Momoa was in a 2003 Lifetime film called Tempted.
What?
And the poster art is him with an open, he's wearing like a Hawaiian shirt, unbuttoned all the way.
Oh my god.
And he's like thin.
He's a little bit skinnier, and you know what? This is so weird. So he beard trimmed his chest hair. Like he has like beard beard trim stubble. That's like, you could see that he probably has like a lot of chest hair, and he just took it down a notch and didn't shave it clean either. Very, very interesting choice.
The top review, 2 stars. I know this was a TV movie, but how can you have Jason Momoa as the romantic lead but not have a love scene? And then someone else says, not as sexy as you might think it would be.
So they're mad that it's not horny either.
Yeah. I mean, if we do, I don't know that there's not enough for a Momoa lap, because I don't want to watch like 4 Aquaman things, but like he's really good in The Bad Batch. I would say if you have not seen that, like go see The Bad Batch. He was Conan in the Conan the Barbarian movie. Like he's been in other things that I'm sure we would find stuff that are like pretty good, but like This is you could do a lot worse, I think.
No, and like I said, and I just like the diversity of him playing a role that was unexpected to me. And even though it's like he's essentially like a badass motorcycle gang person, it's not really like a badass motorcycle gang dude. He's like,
right.
You know.
Let's watch the trailer for Road to Paloma. This is posted by, this might be new to us. Rotten Tomatoes Indie? Do we know a Rotten Tomatoes Indie? Road to Paloma official trailer 1, 2014, Jason Momoa movie HD, 1 million views, posted 9 years ago.
I'm curious, but I think that this is, didn't we find like, it was like movie clips classic trailers and then like movie clips something else. Mm-hmm. And they like had like some offshoots that were just the same shit anyways, right?
Caitlin Avery, the top comment, this needs to be bigger. Indigenous people, motorcycles, and a road trip. The most American story ever. All right, this trailer is 1 minute, 34 seconds left. Joe, let me know when you are ready to
Whenever
watch it.
You're ready, bud.
All right, 3, 2, 1, play. It also looks pretty nice. Like the cinematography is pretty good for a movie that basically has no budget.
It's like very Easy Rider, but modern.
Mm-hmm. They were federal agents.
Oh, WWE Studios? I didn't know that. Did you catch that before?
That. Yeah, I didn't see that. I saw it in the trailer, but I didn't see that in the movie. Oh, Rolling Stones, baby. Don't you love it?
So who was the WWE input on this? Because Momoa wasn't in WWE.
This is where it happened. Beat the scalp right off of him. Turned the guy into a maraca. Deserved it. I told you what would happen.
See, they're talking about, the crime they're talking about there is him killing his mother's killer.
Yes, which happened before the movie even starts.
Correct.
You can't go around taking the law into your own hands now, can you?
He looks great on a motorcycle, dude. He's like built for it. Like, he just looks great on a motorcycle.
Yep. The long hair.
This sounds like the Rolling Stones. Maybe not.
I don't think it's them. I think this is Shovel and Dirt or whatever.
Okay.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna look at the credits again here. Do we see anything in here that says the Rolling Stones? Starring with music. No. No, I don't think the Rolling Stones actually worked in this movie.
Oh, damn it.
Alas. Anyway, okay. So the Letterboxd game, for reference sake, Mad Max Fury Road also takes place in the desert. 1.42 million people. Road to Paloma 2014, directed by Jason Momoa, starring Jason Momoa, Robert Homer Mollahan, who plays Cash. He's the guy who also wrote this movie. Lisa Bonet and Michael Raymond James, has been seen by how many people?
It's on Plex and what? Freevee, Tubi for free, but it's kind of older. It has Momoa, which people really like, but it was a WWE movie. I don't know where it ran on TV. It was very low budget. You said it only made $1 million. I'm gonna go like 6,500 people.
You are too high.
Give me 4,200 people.
You are still too high. One more guess.
3,200 people.
1,049. Basically
That's
nobody.
Low. Yeah, I know. I even started low, but I thought Momoa would have carried it a little bit more than that. But okay.
I reviewed this movie on Saturday, and not everybody who watches movies reviews them, but like nobody's reviewed this movie since Saturday. So like,
okay,
in 4 or 5 days, and you would also like I would think someone would be watching this for the same reason we're watching this. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I've seen all the Fast and Furious movies. Like, let me see what else they've done. Like, but like, no. Okay.
I don't know this. I don't think this would be like on your. I guess you would like be like, I'm gonna watch Game of Thrones and like Aquaman to get ready for.
Or they'll just watch Fast and Furious, or they'll just whatever. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We're going to Michaela, and then the sweaty, thirsty emoji at Ana de Armas on Letterboxd. Cool, good name. Jason Momoa takes direct fucking action. 4.5 stars. Michaela's number 4 favorite film of all time.
Great review. Okay.
Her top 3 are all movies you've heard of. I don't know for sure that you've seen any of them. I would assume you've seen at least 2, if not all 3, but if you're like, I've never seen any of those, I would also believe it.
Okay.
One is from the 70s, and then the other 2 are from the 2010s.
Okay.
Number 3 from the 70s is a musical.
70s musical. Okay.
That has a sequel that I love that most people do not like.
Grease.
And I was
Good
going to say,
one.
our
We
girl
got
Vanessa
there
Hudgens
early.
was in the made-for-TV remake. Okay, her top 2 are both very, very popular movies.
Okay.
Her number 1 has been seen by 537,000 people. Her number
That's
2
a lot.
has been seen by 630,000 people.
Are either of them Marvel movies?
No, but her number 1 was directed by a guy who has gone on to direct multiple Marvel movies.
Okay. That doesn't help me at all, but sure.
And the other one, as far as I know, has no connection to Marvel.
Okay.
Wait. No, that's correct.
Okay.
The first one's a comedy. Second one's romance. Kind of rom-com, rom-dram, but mostly romance.
Okay.
First one also has a spin-off TV series that Wes has messaged us about, I think, more than once in recent memory.
A spin-off TV series to a movie that came out in the 2010s. Is this the comedy one or the romance
This
one?
is the comedy one. People love this movie.
People really love this movie, and it's not Borat.
No.
Off the table.
TV series still on. Maybe 4 or 5 seasons already.
Oh, jeez. Big.
People love the TV series too. I don't love the TV series as much. People love them. I like the movie a lot, but
It was a standalone movie? There wasn't,
standalone
like,
movie
sequels?
that inspired. No, that's inspired the TV series.
Okay, you gotta give me some more.
I will say my favorite line from this movie, which might give it away, or it might not help you at all. I don't know. Could go
Okay.
either way. We're not swearwolves. We're werewolves.
Is it What We Do in the Shadows?
What We Do in the Shadows. directed by
I didn't know
Taika
that was a
Waititi.
movie.
Yes.
I know that Wes has definitely talked to us about the show before, but I've never seen either the movie or the TV show, and I didn't know that there was a movie.
Her number 2 is a movie from 5 years ago, from 2018, that genres romance, comedy, drama.
Okay.
That was beloved. People love this movie, but arguably was more important. I mean, it's still good. Like, I like this movie a lot, but I think it was more important and more remarkable for specific reasons than it just being good. Which is a very vague way of saying it, but you'll understand what I mean when I get there.
Was it like Lady Bird?
No. It's based on a book.
Okay.
That there are 2 sequels to the book. I think there's at least 1 sequel to this movie coming.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're actually going to make 2 sequels to this movie because this movie made a whole ton of money. Like, it made a ton of money.
It's not Moonlight. That was later. It's not a comedy anyways. Okay.
The film made $238 million on a budget of $30 million.
monstrous. Wow.
It became the highest grossing romantic comedy of the last 10 years, 6th highest grossing ever. Way outperformed all expectations.
I have no idea. I really don't.
What could I
Somebody
give
in
you
it?
that's not
Somebody
going...
in it?
The
movie title, the poster shits. Give me some of those.
No, that's all going to give it away.
Okay.
What could I possibly describe? Because I feel like everything I want to say...
Sometimes we go to the what are the facts about it, not the facts, the like question and answer or something.
Oh
Remember
yeah,
we were
let's see
doing
if people have questions about this movie. Who is the girl at 52 minutes and 38 seconds?
Yeah, okay, I know it now. Just kidding. Come on, obviously.
I will say one of the questions in this movie is about the mahjong game at the end of the film, which actually I was going to mention before. Crazy Rich Asians.
Ah, there you go. I see. I wouldn't think of that as a romance movie, but it is 100%.
Bro, it's about
But
a
yes.
wedding. It's about...
I know, but like for me, I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. It did make a smash amount of money.
It was like the most successful, like Asian led, like all, Asian directed, all this different stuff.
So I saw this really funny, it came up on my Twitter because I don't use TikTok, but it was from TikTok. And it was like this girl, and she's like, a day in Singapore, okay? And it's just like this woman, and she's like, okay, here's me and my kids and my husband, and she's like, we're just like gonna go for a walk, and then she's like, oh, and Uncle Henry's here, and it's the guy from Crazy Rich Asians.
Henry Golding? Okay.
Yeah, and they were like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, all right, so Constance Wu is in it, or Henry Golding, or Michelle Yeoh, or Gemma Chan.
Yeah.
Just like, but all these people just like, okay, Aquafina, Ken Jeong, Jamie Yang. It's like all these people that are like Lisa, like it's just like all these huge, But yeah, pretty solid top 4. And I'm like people who have Road to Paloma in their top 4 could go any. I think we didn't get how many people we didn't do the other thing. You got the number wrong. How many have it in their top 4 out of those 1,000? At least the answer is at least 1.
3.
Too low.
5.
Too high.
Too high. 4. Okay.
4. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, it's like 4 people. I'm like, you never know where these are going to go. And I clicked on Michaela, and I'm like, oh, the number 2, like he has Black Snake Moan, Uncut Gems, and Nightmare Before Christmas, Uncharted, Hamilton, and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then Dom Hemingway, which is a who's this guy in this one? Jude Law, right? Yeah, Jude Law. The Bad Batch, another Momoa movie, and Fuck, a documentary. I'm like, I've heard of all these other movies. Like sometimes you're just like, I don't know what these people are watching. But yeah, Michaela, 4.5 stars, reviewed it. Shout out to her. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. All right.
Also, wait. Just because we talked about it last time, we did one of these recording wise. We used Josh's. You know what I'm really surprised about is that nobody's ever pranked us and like knows what our recording schedule is and slid the movie into their top 4 to try to get us to pick theirs.
So how did this get made has run into that problem because they do a thing that's not that similar, but I think it may be inspired. I don't know, but they do like second opinions where it's people who give the movie 5 stars. But they exclusively do like shitty movies generally, but they find people who like review it 5 stars and they just talk about that. But they've also run into the problem of like when they'll announce a movie for like, cause like before they go on tour, they're like, here's the tickets and here's the movies we're covering. Cause like, if it's a shitty movie, people are like who knows? Like, but you're like, oh, they're coming to New York on June 18th and they're watching Escape from New York or whatever. Like, I'm going to go watch the movie and whatever. Right. Like and
I can see them talk about it cause they do the show like live, like in a setting. Mm-hmm. Okay. Makes sense.
So they've run into the problem though, where they like announce a tour's worth of movies. And then people who listen to the show will like leave crazy 5-star reviews that like to try to get picked, and so like that just makes it harder to like weed out like the nonsense. So
exactly, yeah.
But yeah, you're right. No one has ever tried to do that, and don't start.
Don't you dare do it.
Don't you dare do it.
But vote in the Fast and the Furious Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, cageclub.me/vote. Yes, please go vote. Get a handful of people who voted.
That's something you can rig easily.
Sure.
So.
And also, speaking of Josh, shout out to Cassie Wilson, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Wes Hampton, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renato D. Donato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport, Jason Rainey, Tom Price, Mike Gallier, Josh Buckley of Whole Lotta Wolves, Michael Moser, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all so much for supporting us at the $5 a month level or above. So, on the main feed, the Fast 10 stuff will be out already for the next few weeks. We're going to have bonus Fast 10 episodes every Friday, assuming we can get our ducks in a row and get our guests on. But the people who have done entire laps with us will be joining us over the next few weeks to talk about Fast 10. So this Friday, the resident historian will be on to talk about it. If you're listening to this on the Patreon feed tonight, because this will be out probably tomorrow, tonight we'll have the bonus episode, the spoiler-free reaction, and tomorrow will be the spoiler-filled review. So another call to our patrons to email in by like 5 or 6 o'clock tomorrow, family@cageclub.me. If you're out there on the main feed, you want to email in, we can read that on any number of episodes coming up in the near future.
And there are going to be a bunch of them, so don't sweat it.
And like Joe mentioned, cageclub.me/vote to vote in the Too Fast, Too Forever Hall of Fame. Let's get Letty, let's get Mia in there. I've been campaigning for them since the very start.
There's some cars that are really cool. Like we could get a car in there.
cageclub.me/vote. Please vote early. If you want to vote, vote often. It's going to be open for another few weeks. We're going to announce it on Festivus in June.
Yes.
So go do that thing. But Joe, any other final thoughts about Road to Paloma or anything else you want to say in this weird limbo before we see Fast 10, but coming out largely after we've seen Fast 10?
I like this movie way more than I thought I would.
Cool.
I'm so excited to see our Too Fast, Too Forever cameo in Fast 10 tomorrow. I cannot wait till we see it.
I can't believe we haven't told people yet that we're in the movie.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm most excited for.
Man, we made it.
No, I was meaning that they're listening to Too Fast in the movie, but if I forgot that we are in the movie. Just yes, that part too.
Yeah, whatever cameo you want to do, but yes. Cool. For all things Too Fast, Too Forever, go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFast2Forever, or at TooFast2Forever on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at TooFast2Forever.com and our store at cageclub.me/shop. Vote again, cageclub.me/vote, and come back on Friday for Fast 10 Second Gear next week for our Life in the Fast Lane. And then, Joe, the next Tuesday after that, finally kicking off lap 13 with the Fast and the Furious, the OG.
I can't wait. Yeah, it'll be good to watch it right after we finish 10 too.
How many times? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Fast 10. I don't want to get too much into Fast 10. We'll talk about that we got questions. We'll talk about that anyway. Anyway, I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too.
We will tell you all about it
when we see you again.